Is pasta really the villain? Have you stopped eating pasta because you realized you need to take better care of your blood sugar? Maybe you thought, pasta has carbohydrates, so I need to cut it out completely. But does it really have to be that way? The issue isn't simply putting pasta into the category of good or bad. The type of pasta you choose matters. The portion size matters too. The cooking point can make a difference. And most importantly, what you put on your plate alongside the pasta deserves attention as well. Today, I'm going to show you 7 options that can fit into a more balanced diet. And stay until the end, because the 7th type is different from all the others. In fact, you probably already have this type of pasta in your kitchen. The secret is in the way you prepare it. If you enjoy content about health, nutrition, and well-being, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss our upcoming videos. And now let's get started. Al dente whole wheat pasta. Let's start with a simple option that is easy to find. Whole wheat pasta. The main difference is that it contains more fiber compared with refined versions. But there's another detail that deserves attention. The cooking point. Have you ever noticed the big difference between pasta that is firm and pasta that is completely soft? That's where the famous al dente texture comes in. The pasta is cooked, but it still offers a slight resistance when you bite into it. It doesn't need to be hard. The idea is simply to avoid reaching the point where the pasta becomes excessively soft. And there's an interesting combination you can make here. Instead of putting a large amount of pasta on your plate by itself, you can combine it with vegetables and a source of protein. For example, chicken, fish, tuna, or another protein that is already part of your diet. For the sauce, a simple option is to use tomatoes, olive oil, garlic, and herbs. And pay attention to ready-made sauces. Some products may contain ingredients you might not expect to find, including added sugars. That's why checking the nutrition label can be a useful strategy. And if whole wheat pasta is something you can easily find at your local grocery store, the next option may be less familiar. Chickpea pasta. Have you ever seen those packages of pasta made from chickpeas? The appearance may be different. The texture may be different too. But this can be an interesting alternative for anyone who wants to move away from traditional wheat pasta. Chickpeas are a legume and naturally provide fiber and protein. For this reason, when it appears in the form of pasta, you get a different nutritional composition than you would with traditional pasta. And that can help make the meal more interesting from a nutritional standpoint. But there's an important detail. There's no point in choosing a different type of pasta and then turning the dish into a salty dessert. Very sugary sauces and excessive toppings can completely change the meal. So think of the dish as a whole. Chickpea pasta, vegetables, a good source of protein, and a simple sauce. And now let's move on to another legume. An option that many people only discover once they start looking for alternatives to traditional pasta, lentil pasta. Lentils can also be turned into pasta. And once again, an interesting characteristic appears. You're replacing traditional pasta with an option made from a legume. The flavor is different. The texture can also be different. And the cooking time deserves attention. Some of these pastas cook very quickly. So follow the cooking time indicated on the package. Don't think, the longer I cook it, the better it will be. Not necessarily. You want to reach the right texture without letting the pasta become mushy. And there's another combination that works very well. Lentil pasta with shredded chicken. Or with tuna, or sardines. Add some vegetables and a simple sauce. That way, you turn the pasta into one part of a complete meal, rather than making it practically the entire meal. And speaking of different options, the next one may even seem strange the first time you see it. Konjac noodles. Now we come to the famous konjac. If you've never seen it before, your first reaction might be, is this really pasta? It looks different from traditional pasta. It's made from a plant and is characterized primarily by the presence of a type of fiber called glucomannan. This fiber has a very high capacity to absorb water. That's why konjac also has a different texture. And there's an important detail when it comes to preparation. When you open the package, you may notice a distinctive smell. That can happen. The practical recommendation is to rinse the noodles thoroughly before preparing them, following the instructions on the package. After that, you can add whatever sauce and seasonings you prefer. Tomatoes, garlic, herbs, vegetables. But there's one thing I want to make absolutely clear. A different type of pasta doesn't mean you can eat unlimited amounts. Portion size still matters, and that applies to every option we've discussed in this video. Now let's move on to a type of pasta that stands out for another reason. Pea pasta. Pea pasta is another alternative made from a legume. And here, there's one characteristic that may be particularly interesting. Its protein content. That helps set this type of pasta apart from traditional pasta. And you can take advantage of that characteristic to build a more complete meal. For example, pea pasta, zucchini, eggplant, bell pepper, tomatoes, olive oil, and herbs. Do you see the logic? Instead of thinking only, what type of pasta can I eat? Start thinking, how can I build the entire meal? That shift in thinking is much more useful, because a balanced diet doesn't depend on a single ingredient. And now we've reached an option that doesn't even have to be called pasta, but it can replace spaghetti on your plate. Zucchini spaghetti. Imagine taking a zucchini and turning it into strands that look similar to spaghetti. That's exactly the idea. You cut the zucchini into thin strips and use them as a substitute for traditional pasta. And here, the preparation is quick. The goal is not to overcook it. A quick sauté in a skillet with a little olive oil and garlic can make the zucchini more enjoyable while helping it retain a firm texture. Then you add the sauce, tomatoes, herbs, and if you want a source of protein. The result is a completely different kind of meal. And there's a practical advantage. You don't have to give up the idea of eating spaghetti. You simply change the main ingredient. But now it's time for the option I promised you at the beginning. And this one may be the easiest of all, because you probably already have this pasta at home. Regular pasta, but prepared differently. Now pay attention. You don't need to buy a special type of pasta. You don't need to search for an exotic ingredient. It's regular pasta. That package that's probably already sitting in your kitchen cabinet. But there's a different way to prepare it. The idea is to cook the pasta and then cool it before eating it. When cooked starch cools, some of it can undergo a structural change known as retrogradation, resulting in the formation of more resistant starch. And that is precisely why this preparation method may change some of the characteristics of the pasta. Recent research on pasta that has been cooked, cooled, and then reheated has found changes in the amount of resistant starch, as well as differences in the body's blood sugar response after the meal. But these findings do not mean that this technique is a cure or that it eliminates the need to pay attention to the amount of carbohydrates you consume. So how do you do it? Cook the pasta. Preferably, avoid overcooking it. Then let it cool and place in the refrigerator. When you're ready to eat it, you can reheat it and serve it with your sauce. And here's what's most interesting. You're using essentially the same food, but you changed the way it was prepared. And that's exactly what makes this option so intriguing. The sauce that can make the meal more complete. Now let's talk about something that can easily be overlooked. The sauce. There's no point in choosing a more interesting type of pasta and then covering the dish with a sauce loaded with sugar, excessive amounts of fat, or ingredients you didn't actually want to consume. One simple option is to make a homemade tomato sauce. Tomatoes, garlic, olive oil, herbs. You can also add vegetables, zucchini, eggplant, bell peppers, mushrooms, and a source of protein. That way, the pasta stops being practically the entire meal and instead becomes part of a more complete dish. Maybe you don't need to give up pasta. So let's recap. Number 1, whole wheat pasta cooked al dente. Number 2, chickpea pasta. Number 3, lentil pasta. Number 4, konjac noodles. Number 5, pea pasta. Number 6, zucchini spaghetti. And number 7, regular pasta that has been cooked, cooled, and then reheated. But there's an even more important message. Don't think there's a single food that can control your blood sugar on its own. What matters is the big picture. How much you eat, the ingredients you choose, the way you prepare them, the foods you serve alongside them, and your overall habits throughout the day. If you have diabetes, your individual needs may be different. That's why significant changes to your diet should be discussed with a healthcare professional who manages your treatment. But maybe you don't need to look at pasta simply as a forbidden food. Maybe it's more useful to learn how to choose better, prepare it better, and build your plate better. If this video helped you look at pasta in a different way, leave a like. And share this video with someone who also needs to take better care of their diet and blood sugar. God bless you, and take good care of your health. See you in the next video.